Welcome back. We're going to talk today about big baits. Enjoy the funny intro. All right. Well, you guys have heard me talk about big baits, and I do paint big baits. I have an order in for a very 7-inch bait. And neat thing is, it had where the hooks are, they twist. That'll be really nice. So let's talk why big baits. Now, big baits require heavy gear. All right, you can't throw these. This ain't light. I can't throw it on my ultralight. If I did, it would snap the line and off it goes, and my pole isn't made for it. So you have to have a rod that can handle a couple ounces at least in its rating, in its power rating. So that would be a heavy rod, and you're going to actually use much thicker line or stronger line. Let's say a braid that's 20 or 30 pound braid with a leader attached to it. But these are things you got to consider. I mean, not everybody can buy. I mean, we all want to buy a $50 bait and catch huge personal bests with it. We all do. But you may not have the equipment for it, and that's pretty important because I don't want you to break your equipment. So if you got a medium rod, which is a great rod, my best all-around rod selection is a medium light. Those rods just can't do these without damaging the rod potentially. So you need a heavy rod. That's what you need. And let me turn this down a little bit so I'm not so on the bottom. But bigger baits will catch bigger fish. They just will. Now, bigger fish are much more violent fish. They're stronger. They're smarter. That's how they got old. And they're able to do things that a smaller fish just gives up on. One of my favorite baits is a wake bait. Always is. This is what we call a blue back. It's got a sort of a bluish green back into a silver body with a little bit I painted just a tinge of yellow, which you guys know I like transparent yellow. It gives it a glow. And this one's got a really flat bill up front, and this swims on the top of the water. I'll pull it and do some jerking, causing it to switch back and forth. I use gamakatsu hooks on this. These are 1/0s, which are technically it can hang up, but I've never had it hang up. I thought about maybe going with an 0. I did have 1s on it, but so far I've been pretty happy with these 1/0s. You just want to make sure that they just don't do that when you cast it. Seems a lot easier to do it this time around. But this is a wake bait. Fantastic for warm water, above 70 degree water. This thing will get lots of hits. One thing about a swim bait or a big bait, though, you limit your catches because basically a 1 pounder on up is going to hit this. Those under a pound, unless they're overly aggressive, you really won't catch a whole lot of those with this. So that's a topwater bait. This is a shallow dive bait. It's got a lip that'll bring it down to 4 to 6 feet. And again, it is a jointed bait. I've got 1s on here, which are perfect for this particular bait. And I kind of, this one, I kind of went with a sort of a purple crappie pattern on it, almost with a sunfish look to it with the purple. This one's kind of a 3D bait because you've got these hard fins here, and you can see the hard fins up front. Really nice bait. I like this bait a lot. All these I've caught fish on, big ones. So you're going to catch, again, with this one, you'll probably limit your about 3/4 pound on up. This is a smaller bait than that. So you can tell a big difference between the two. There you go. So, big difference. This one, sort of in between those two, this is what we call a glide bait. Again, it's a double jointed. There's 2 joints on it. It's got a hard tail, unlike those two. They have soft plastic tails. And this is a crappie pattern, although it's green, so yeah, we got green screen on. I don't know, you can't. Anyway, I put some really neat 3D green eyes, which probably are see-through on this. Yeah, see-through. And this one, I've got one size hooks on it, which are perfect for this size. So, one thing about the baits that I'll be getting in, this area where the hook connects to there, what ends up happening is that the fish grabs that hook and it knows if it turns and it turns in the water, rolls. When it rolls in the water, this bait will actually push against its jaw, its mouth, and then push that hook out. Now, really hard for that to do. It doesn't happen all the time, but it did happen to me this last year. On this bait, actually. I never seen a bass that big hit my bait before. I was ready for it. I set the hook perfectly. He dove, rolled on me, and then used a branch underneath the water to dislodge this bait. He was double digits. Definitely, maybe, that was probably a lake record, if not close to a state record. Lake of the Woods, people don't fish it for bass. That's really a shame. But good for me. There's a number of bass fishermen on Lake of the Woods, and we catch big fish. But in order to catch big fish, the best way to do it is with a big bait. So, I thought about going with a 1 on here, short shaft it, which cuts down the length of it, and then adding a swivel right here, connecting it to the bait. Still thinking about that. I might do that. But I love these big old, gamakatsus. I love those. I mean, those things they get you. They get you. So, these particular baits, TF. Sometimes I sign the bottom of them. I don't usually, though. It always smears. So, really nice baits. So I would recommend, if you want to catch some big fish, use big baits. And you'll be surprised, but you got to have the right gear, guys, gals. You got to have 30-pound braid on it. You can add some fluorocarbon, 6 feet of it, on it as a leader. I don't run heavy fluorocarbon, though, on my reels, because fluorocarbon, which is the best line in the water because it is invisible. Heavy fluorocarbon has memory, and it's just a real pain in the rear to deal with. So if you're wondering why would you put a leader on it and why not just spool it up, well, that's the reason for fluoro. Fluoro has it's a very strong memory to it. And I've tried, hot water, loosening it up. I've used hair dryers. I've tried straight fluoro, heavy fluoro. Gave up on it. So the nice thing about braid, it casts farther, and it's got a better knot tie. But adding a 5 or 6 foot leader on it with fluoro attached to this, so the fish cannot see the line, works really, really good. But remember, you're going to have to use a heavy rod. And a reel that can handle it too. Which means you got to go with a heavy-duty reel. Now, a very affordable reel for heavy stuff that I have is made by Pissy Fun. It's called a Spark Pro. It's kind of a strange-looking one. Super psychedelic, color shifting. It looks like a bad lowrider from the 70s. But it's a really good reel. I wish they made it black, but or silver, but they went psychedelic. So somebody was on some serious shrooms in the factory. But it is actually for $60, $50 for a bait caster. It works really, really well. If you like to use a spinning gear, I just get really good gearing in it. You just got to have a heavy duty capable reel with that heavy rod. And this is a rod that you would use not only for swim baits, but you would use it for top water in the lily pads. So it's that type of rod that you're going to throw frogs and hollow bodies way out there into the lily pads. And then when you get that explosion on it, they're going to dive deep. If you don't get them up quick enough, you're going to be pulling up a whole bunch of salad. So you're going to need a heavy rod and strong line for that. So same type of rod that you're going to be using, in strength-wise for that. Although that one I would have a little faster action on it. So, and this one I would have a little slower action on it, because you really don't need a flexible tip too much, to throw one of these. These things weigh a few ounces. You could just take it with a moderate slow rod and just sling it out there. So, fantastic way of catching really big fish. See me this week at Saturday at Lake of the Woods. I'll be there. And we're going to just talk about all sorts of stuff, from fish finders to baits to trout to crappie to bass. Yeah, I'll paint baits, make baits, all that fun stuff right there at Lake of the Woods Winterfest. So we'll see you guys there. I hope this little itty bitty thing helps you.